introduction into selecting security controls. The next step after categorization is selecting the control. Let's take a look at all the families that we have of controls. We've got technical controls, we've got management controls, we've got operational controls, we've got lots and lots of different controls. As a matter of fact, we have over 500 controls in total. How do you select out of all those hundreds of different NIST level risk management controls? So how we determine that? Categorization of the controls. The security categorization will give us what's called a baseline that we can go by. And if you go to the NIST SP 800-53, it'll have a baseline for a low, moderate, or high system. That's the baseline. But you got to take it a step further. We have to know what common controls to implement, what specific controls to implement, and which hybrid controls to implement. What are the differences between these three? Common controls are inheritable controls from the organization as a whole. So let's say that our organization has a physically secure building. Every time we bring a new server or a new computer into that system inherits all the physical security that's already surrounding. If there's fencing, lighting, a security unit, biometrics, all of those things are already there. So that system, that server, our web server, will actually inherit all those physical security controls. So system-specific controls are owned by the information system owner. These are not inheritable. They have to be put on the system. An example of this might be AU controls. AU controls are not automatically inherited by the organization. That's something that you have to implement on that specific system. AU controls have to do with audit logs. You have to configure that. And so it's not automatically inherited. Now a hybrid control, it's a mixture of system-specific controls and inheritable controls. An example of that would be IR controls, which have to do with incident response. The organization might have a security operations team that monitors all the logs, but they can't monitor logs if the logs aren't turned on. So that's a hybrid because it's one part's owned by the information system owner and the other part's owned by the overall organization because they have the team that actually analyzes all those controls. The next step that we have to do is we have to document these controls. We do that in what's called a system security plan. Now this is a very big piece here. If you want to know more about it, you can go to NIST Special Publication 800-18 and it breaks down all the things that are supposed to go into a system security plan. Once we have documented all of those security controls in the system security plan, we want to get that authorized. The reason why it has to be reviewed and authorized by a higher level of authority is that there might be some controls that we couldn't put on there. There might be some controls that if we put that control there, it's going to break our system. We have to suggest that the authorizing official accept the risk for that system. Now they might say, no, we're not going to accept that risk. And if that's the case, it's back to the drawing board. Now we got to get another technology to fix that risk. And that's why after you've established the controls you have, you've documented them, they have to be reviewed and authorized. So everybody has to be on the same page before you go forward with the next step, which is implementation.